When did you realize that being slapped for talking too loud wasn't normal? After my mom left us, my dad turned into something I didn't even recognize. He started with reasonable rules like no talking after 9 and don't use the refrigerator without permission. But then he began giving out punishments every time I broke a rule. If I made eye contact with him for too long, he'd accuse me of challenging his authority and lock me in the basement for 6 hours. My friends stopped coming over after one day when I'd broken rule 198, failed to announce a guest's departure within 30 seconds. Dad made me stand in the corner while he read my behavioral failure report aloud to my friend. I was 16, and because Dad always told me after that he loves me, I thought this was normal. Maybe everyone else at school just hid it better. Then came Sarah, my girlfriend. When she invited me to her house for dinner, I was nervous. Not nervous to meet her parents, but I was scared that the punishments she had to endure might end up being even worse than mine. But she assured me that I would enjoy coming over, so I went, despite the fact that it violated rule number 322. When Sarah picked me up, I had my notebook of conversation topics her parents might approve of. She laughed when she saw me checking my watch. Relax, she said. My parents are chill. I didn't know what that meant. Parents were enforcers, wardens, surveillance systems. The word chill didn't compute. Walking up to her front door, I mentally reviewed the 5 different greetings I'd practiced, trying to calculate which would generate the least possibility for offense. But within 10 seconds of that, my entire worldview was shattered. Sarah's dad opened the door wearing a ridiculous apron that said, "Grill Sergeant," and immediately pulled me into a hug. An actual hug. No inspection, no rule recitation, no entry protocol. Just a hug. As we went inside, Sarah's mom was dancing to music while cooking. Dancing during meal preparation? That violates at least 6 efficiency protocols. Her younger brother ran through the hallway with muddy shoes, and nobody screamed. Nobody even noticed. At dinner, people talked over each other, reached across the table, used the wrong forks, put elbows where they shouldn't be. Sarah's dad asked about my interests, and when I gave my prepared answer about academic excellence and personal discipline, he said, "No, but what do you actually like?" I didn't understand the question. Then Sarah's brother spilled juice, and my eyes went wide. I mentally braced for a scolding, almost like it was me who had spilled the juice, but then I watched her mom stand up, and she just wiped it up. "Happens to everyone, sweetie," she said, and I started to think I was dreaming. Even when Sarah disagreed with her father about politics, he laughed and said, "Good point." She had literally contradicted an adult and lived. Around 9, Sarah's mom brought out ice cream even though nobody had earned it through a point system. They were just eating ice cream because they wanted to. Her parents even told me embarrassing stories about themselves. They admitted to mistakes. They laughed at their own failures. When Sarah teased her dad about his cooking, he teased back. Nobody was keeping score. Nobody was documenting infractions. I realized I hadn't checked my watch in an hour. I realized I was breathing normally for the first time in years. Full, deep breaths that reached the bottom of my lungs. I'd been taking shallow, careful breaths for so long, I'd forgotten what oxygen felt like. When Sarah's mom hugged me goodbye, I almost cried. The drive home felt like descending underwater, pressure building with each mile. The closer we got, the shallower my breathing became. Sarah squeezed my hand before I got out. "You okay?" she asked. I wanted to tell her everything. About the laminated rules, the basement punishments, the way I had to request permission to feel hungry, but shame wrapped around my throat. How could I explain that her normal Tuesday night was the best day of my life? That I'd never eaten dinner without fear? That I didn't know families could touch without permission slips? I opened the door to find Dad in his inspection position. "You're late," he said, though I was actually 2 minutes early. His hand came across my face before I could respond, the sharp crack of his wedding ring catching my cheekbone. "Dishes, now. Then write a report on your failure to maintain punctuality standards." I stood there, feeling the warmth still lingering from Sarah's house, the ghost of her mother's hug, the echo of laughter. "No," I said, and Dad's face went purple. I walked past him, up to my room, and packed everything that mattered into my backpack before leaving through the window.